players, the personalities who come from around the world to play professional soccer in the United States.
Go, go, USA! Oh, it's incredible!
In a world where some call it football, football, or soccer, they dare to call it foosball. One thinks New York is blue, the other thinks New York is red. Soccer in America from a German perspective. Let them put some sauerkraut on your hot dog and join them for the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour.
Ah, good evening.
Good evening, Bjorn.
Would you let us put some sauerkraut on your hot dog?
Sure.
Would you let these two men put some sauerkraut on your hot dog, audience?
Hey, we're bringing
You
it.
decide. You decide. We're here. We're here for it.
We won't make it fresh. It'll likely be out of a bag from the grocery store, but
There's no such thing as fresh sauerkraut. Like, it's fermented.
right. It's fermented. So, well, yeah, I don't know. At the last barbecue I went to on July 4th, people brought sauerkraut in a bag. One was like regular, the other
That's
one was
where
spiced or something.
Was
then you-
what?
I don't know, garlic sauerkraut or some crap. It was
Oh, okay.
flavored. And then you cut open the top and you just like pour it on whatever.
It's either that or a glass jar. Like those are the ways that sauerkraut lives, where sauerkraut lives. In liquid, submerged in liquid.
Now, are you offended by the term kraut? If someone says kraut, is that offensive to you?
If somebody called me a crowd, I think that has never happened.
Of course not, because it's like a
I
slang from the 1940s.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably a little bit. I don't know.
Hold on.
The
Yeah, it depends on the context.
I mean, context is everything.
Right.
Like, if it was a friend of mine, and it was like I wouldn't say I'm particularly sensitive about it. I had an experience where where my kids went to daycare. There was another a mom that was also German. And she, at some point, somebody referred to something as a something Nazi, like the soup Nazi, or that person's a real clothing Nazi, or whatever. I forget what it was, but like using that term. And she was like, and was looking at me, like looking for me to be, and I was like, wow, that's going to be a long life for you in New York if that's going to piss you off. Like, that happens. Like,
one of the most famous characters in New York is the soup Nazi.
The soup Nazi, yeah. Like, if you're taking that personal, you're going to be, you must like getting mad. Like, that's not, not.
Was she fresh off the boat then, or something? Was she pretty new?
She was probably a little bit more recent, but not really. She had been around. I mean, she was married to an American man, and they had a child that was my children's age. So it had been a few years.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, you're looking for me to be upset? Yeah, no, sorry, I can't. I will not be upset about that."
Well, the thing that's funny to me, I learned the two slang.
It's also, it's like I'm not a Nazi. I do not. This is not concern me at all. Like, I'm not. I don't feel. Like if somebody called me specifically, but I think it was, the term doesn't offend me.
I got called Nazi a lot in middle school by Koreans.
That's no good. That's no good.
Yeah, it is what it is. When you go to international school, I called them North Koreans and they called me a Nazi. And just like, who's the worst dictator?
Okay.
But like the two slang terms, the two derogatory terms that I've learned relatively recently, only in my adulthood, from World War II. It's kraut and it's Jerry, right? Jerry, kraut.
Oh, the Jerry, right.
And to me, because there's a whole thing about slurs and offensive. Like Bobby Wood would know all about them. No, not Bobby Wood. What's his face against Bobby Wood? Kai Wagner would know all about
Kai Wagner knows all the words. Yeah,
but like, is it really like there's certain thing, like frog, the French are frogs and stuff. It's like certain slurs are way more offensive. Like, if you call me a Jerry or if you call me a kraut, it's like Jerry's just the first three words of German. So there's nothing really, it's just like Jerry, I don't know. And then kraut is because we eat sauerkraut. It's like, yeah, we do eat sauerkraut. So like as far as slurs go, they're very, very low.
Yeah,
level.
but it's like,
versus others, which we won't say, but there's some real metadata to those words. And what I mean by that, there's some real historical weight to those words.
Yeah. I mean, right.
They're
If
very
I had
negative,
to,
and yeah,
no, if I had to rank them compared to other, I agree with you. Yeah, it's not like it wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, like with everything, it's sort of like all depends on how it's presented. Yeah,
the word itself is relatively harmless. It's like calling American a hot dog.
I would agree.
Oh yeah, hot dog. It's like, I don't know how offensive that could be.
That'd be just weird.
but you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know how offensive that could be.
It's like calling me a hamburger.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you, hamburger? Like, what? Okay.
I mean, people
What?
from Hamburg are hamburgers. I'm the
Right.
descendant of hamburgers for real. But I don't know. So it depends on the content. Like I don't know what the content would be. Get off
Context.
our street, Kraut. How about that? How about I'm your new neighbor?
Yeah, that would definitely upset me. Yeah, for sure.
It really would upset you. I would laugh my ass off.
If somebody
I'll be
said to
like-
me,
I'm just like, how are you calling me this 1940s derogatory? Like, where are you from? What is this?
I mean, yeah, no, I don't know. I have not. I mean, I guess I'm privileged in that regard. I have not suffered a lot of. I have not suffered a lot of abuse, and I probably would be a little sensitive. Yeah, I would imagine if somebody was.
If a guy yelled at
I
me,
know.
get out of here, Kraut, I would just laugh my ass off. That's
when I lived in Fort Greene, there was a little bit. I briefly lived in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, at a time where there was where I was part of a wave of sort of gentrifying white people.
Yeah, but you're a German.
Moving into the neighborhood, and there was some hostility. You know, like people threw eggs at me on Halloween, or people would say stuff to me if I was coming. What? In my neighborhood, in my like near my house.
Yeah, but where did they throw the eggs? They just egged your home?
No, at me.
Really?
Yeah.
And these are old Polish people doing this?
No, this is in Fort Greene. This was
I'm
many
thinking
years
Greenwood.
ago.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
Greenwood.
No, no. Greenpoint is
Fort
Polish. Fort Greene was a very predominantly African American neighborhood, and then there was a lot of people like Bam was moving in. Mark Moore. There was a lot of sort of white, perceived as white culture moving into the neighborhood, and there was some hostility about that, and some of that was directed at me, and I had lived in the East Village I'd lived in New York for a while by then, but I was not ready for it. I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
And they said Kraut, get out of here.
They did not say, no, but it was like,
I just think that would be funny.
That was one of the few examples
Right.
in my life that I can point to where I was like sort of
But that's just because you're white.
treated differently because of what I looked like or national or something. And I was not very thick-skinned about it at all. I'm not proud to say. I was very like, oh, what?
It's also nonsensical. It's like, yeah, welcome to capitalism. You want to throw eggs at something? Throw eggs with the Barclays Center down the street.
Well, this was way before the Barclays Center. Yeah, that people weren't excited about that either, I guess.
Yeah, that changed the whole neighborhood. I worked at the Barclays Center for like a couple of years. Yeah, well, anywho, inapplicable because this
don't be calling me a Kraut or nothing.
or a Jerry. We're two Jerrys here for you. We're two Krauts.
And we will put
But there has to
sauerkraut
be-
on your hot dog if you let us.
But the context has to be jovial. It has to be like, get over here, you Kraut. Come here and try.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody said it in a funny way, obviously, yeah, I'm not looking to be.
But the term itself is ridiculous. It's just a food item that's accurate. So
I guess so. Well, but it does have it does have a World War II connotation where it's like, you know, the good guys against the. Yeah. Okay. No, I hear you. I don't think I would. I mean, I think it sounds like you have a thicker skin than me when it comes to that kind of thing. Or maybe more experience. I don't know, with Koreans like bullying you, and
I think I have more experience, definitely, because I'm a third culture kid. I grew up in an international community, and if you're in an international community at a young age, it's all about race baiting and history arguing.
But I think that may just be how you interact. That's not necessarily hostile. Maybe, I don't know. I guess it always depends.
I mean, it's just the way it is. If you're with a bunch of foreign, it's like I'm not from a place where we all spoke the same language or look the same. I'm from a different.
Right.
I'm from everyone spoke different languages and came from different places, all thrown together at a young age. So you know, it is what it is. But why I became a huge soccer fan, and at the time, I had an American friend who was really into DC United and this new league called MLS. I think he's still a DC United fan today. I should reach out to him. He was my early exposure to MLS. I'm talking 96, 97, back in the old days. And I was a Euro snob. I was just like, I don't want to watch that American crap. It was on TV and it was weird. The clocks counted down and Tony Meola played as a forward for one of the All-Star games for fun. And I was just like, what is this? And Tommy Smith, that was commenting on it, was making fun of it, so they fired him. Anywho, I was busy watching the Brazilian League and the Champions League and the National Team. I was good to go. Now here I am, 20 years later. No, 28 years later. I was 30 years. And now it's the MLS Hour. I'm a huge Rebels fan. You're an NYCFC fan. We had to – so we had a big summer of soccer. Summer Stars is over. But MLS never paused. MLS was
but it's okay. Yeah, it does. It doesn't. But there is a. I mean, I don't know if this is objectively true, but I felt. My interest was at was at 75%.
Yeah, of course.
Of its normal level. Like I think they refer to this as the dog days of MLS summer. It's just a lot of, NYCFC had a road trip, 4 games all on the road, and it's just sort of, it's like you just know, even going into it, before you look at the teams, they're all significantly lower than us in the table. And you were like, yeah, these teams are worse than us, but we're probably not going to get a lot of points because it's just one of those like things. You're in July, there's a lot of traveling, it's hot, and it just kind of, and that's what happened. We got
key players.
The players. What's that?
Key players were absent for some of the clubs. Like
that was we did not even have that excuse. We ended up having a bunch of injuries actually. Right. So we did have some problems like that, but there's also, you just have to rotate whether these people are gone or not. Like if you have the Saturday in July and you're flying halfway across the country, there's just no way you're going to play the same people the whole time, and so you just know. And so you just kind of ahead of time, I was like, oh yeah, what is this going to be like? And sure enough, we got like 3 points out of 4 games, and in the end, I felt like I was almost pleasantly surprised by that result. I was like, oh, pretty good. We had sort of an exciting comeback victory. I mean, these games were all very different. Like in Austin, we dominated and lost 2-1, and really that was crazy that we did not win that game. And then in Atlanta, we were behind, and Thales Magno played for the first time in months and scored the equalizer. Came back from a 2-0 down, and then the game on Saturday in Orlando, I was like, respect. Like Orlando is hot AF, in July, and I was like, there's definitely some. They fell behind and then threw a weird deflected goal and then came back, and I thought these were hot fought road ties in the dog days of summer, and so I was like, yeah, respect. Even though obviously 3 points out of 4 games, if you want to be any kind of contender, it's not a great outcome. So in the end, my expectations were lowered, but I felt pretty good about it.
You're still 5th. You and Charlotte were hopping up in 4th the other day, but you guys end up finishing 5th. Yeah, with the New York Rebels, with the NYC was a lot of up and downs. New York Rebels was
we've been very streaky.
With the New York Rebels, we've had 8 ties in a row. Tie. We lead, and then we lose.
Is that true? Literally 8 ties?
Let me count.
That's a lot of ties. That's 8 ties is a lot to have in a whole season.
But last night, the problem is, it's funny. The minute the New York MLS gets its first weekend, because this weekend it was just MLS. It's their last weekend. They're going to take a break for the League Cup now moving forward. It's like, hold on now, you guys. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's see. The last night, our last game, we had a very comfortable 3-1 shellacking of Cincinnati, which is a good result for us at home.
Yeah, because they're
tippy top. They're tippy top. But then before that, 1, 2, 3, 4 ties, then a win over Toronto, and then 1, 2 ties, and then a loss to New England, which is our last loss. Not a bad one.
Yeah, you have 11 ties total. That's incredible.
A lot. But so in the last 8 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The last 9 games, We've got 2 wins, a loss, and 6 ties. Is that the math? And then so we a lot of ties, and it's frustrating because it's like we're up early, and then they get us at the end. It's that old high press problem we've always had. It's like in the Jesse Marsh days. It's like we can lead 2-0 for the first 80 minutes, but then the last 10 minutes, it's 2-2. It hasn't been that extreme, but that's been the case. And again, with the fans, the big talk is like, okay, so you promised us reinforcements that led to Emil Forsberg, who's injured now, by the way, open-endedly. So now we don't have Emil Forsberg again. Dante Van Zier's underperforming, so he was finally benched last night, which probably led to us scoring more goals. And then Lewis Morgan's back, thank God. But the big talk is we need a number 9 and also a number 6, especially since we got rid of Frankie Amaya. We need a number 6 and number 9. And Sandro Schwartz has been very, very mum on it. He's just like, nah, I don't know. I think it's very clear that
good company man.
It's a good company man. I think it's very clear that in typical New York Red Bulls fashion, an entire transfer window is about to come and go, and we know very clearly what we need. And there's a very good chance we're not going to get any of it. So we're just going to wait again. Because the New York Red Bulls does this thing where, like, we need a number 9, like yesterday, a real one. To me, that means go buy Joseph Martinez with money. You know what I mean? Like go, but that's not the New York Red Bulls way. The only players we can sign are young enough. They have to be an obscurio from the network and young enough where they can then go to Leipzig.
Joseph is in Montreal, right? He can't be that expensive, but
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like Stefan,
sure.
The soccer director, is like, let's go buy Joseph, a proven number 9 who's a number 9. But that's not how Red Bull Austria does business. We could only sign players that seemingly are A, they're trash, like Emil Forsberg or Yusuf Paulson, things like that, or B, young from the network, from their weird scouting network, so young Skirios from Scandinavia, that could later grow into a senior player at the European level. Those are like the only 2 types of
Wait, what did you just call Forsberg and Paulson?
Red Bull trash.
Red Bull trash?
It's unfair. I like them. I'm not saying they're bad. But, like, they're the only big name players we can get are former Red Bulls players.
Harsh, like turned on your Forsberg so quickly.
I like Forsberg.
Great.
I like Forsberg. I'm criticizing the Red Bull transfer policy. I'm not criticizing Forsberg. For instance, Memphis Depay really wants to come to MLS. He wants to come to New York Red Bulls. He's demanding $30 million for a 2-year contract. So the New York Red Bulls are never going to sign him for that.
Yeah, but nobody should.
But also,
nobody in MLS should.
New York Red Bulls can A, easily afford it, but B, he's not he's just some rando. He's not a former Red Bull player. So they're like, we don't have anything to do with you. The only strangers Red Bulls hires are 23 and under.
Oh, so they have to go through they got to go through the system.
Yeah, so
it
like
could
we
be
need
like
a 9. We need a 9.
So Timo Werner could be Timo Werner.
Yeah, and we've been rumored with him, but I don't think that's happening. I would love Timo Werner. But you know what I'm saying? like, just this club will never in a million years buy Joseph Martinez. When it's like he'll solve the problem. Go buy Joseph Martinez. But we're not an independent club.
I disagree with that. He's over. He's really washed, though. No, I mean he's not solving anything for Montreal.
That's not the point. That's not the point. Then who's the hottest number 9 in MLS right now? Maybe go buy Brandon Vasquez. How about that? Go down to Mexico, buy Brandon Vasquez.
Brandon Vasquez back from Mexico.
Right,
yeah, he'd be good.
Yeah, he'd be good. Like if this was LAFC, they would do something. If this was an independent club,
they have
would
Olivier
do something.
Giroud.
But do you understand what I'm trying to say? You're always.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm totally. I understand what you're saying.
So like, but again, the New York Red Bulls transfer policy, it has to be a very obscurely well scouted obscurio from Belgium or Scandinavia or something. Those are the only players we'll sign. And it's like, well, we'll never go to an MLS Cup. I don't know. It's like we need a number 9. Go sign. I'm trying to think. Go sign Brandon Vasquez. Go sign. I'm trying to think who's like a within MLS guy who's a number 9. Go sign Kai Kamara then if you need it. Like sign someone.
Kai Kamara, yeah.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like senior MLS proven guys and your Red Bulls are like, we're not interested in them because they provide no value to Red Bull Global. And that again lies the issue. So the summer's happening. We need a 6. We need a 9. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be, if we get it, it's going to be some obscurio, hit or miss Scandinavian kid. So there you go. That's just what's going on. With that being said, the season overall is still positive despite the large amount of draws. We lose players. Now we're about to lose John Tolkien again for a while. The New York Red Bulls, and with Emil Forsberg's injury, we won't be at full strength until right before the playoffs. at the earliest. So, we had 3 summer tournaments. We lost Lewis Morgan and Emil Forsberg to Europe. Emil Forsberg coming back before the Euros. Noah Eiley went to the Sweden U21s. And then we lost Carlos Coronel to the Copa, and maybe one other player that escapes me at the moment. And now the Olympics are starting, so now we're losing our star left winger in John Tolkien for a month or two. So it's like we're just never going to be at full strength this season. And there you go. It's a weird, quirky MLS times. But that's the New York Red Bulls. We're still 4th place. And if we end 4th place, that'd be nice. We haven't ended that high in a while. It'd be nice to have a home game. Now, remind me, what are the new playoffs this year? It's a 3-game.
Well, you're going to have a home game no matter what. It's a 3-game, best of 3. Got to win 2. Only in the first round. Then it becomes single game elimination.
Who does 4th play? They play 5th or 8th? Who's 4th?
4th place. No, there's the 8th and 9th have a play-in game, and they end up playing
4th.
No, 2nd.
Well, vamp for a bit. I mean, let's see if I can
It's
find
second. It's 2nd and the winner of 8th and 9th. 7th and 3rd. Wait, no.
I'm vamping.
That's
New
not true.
playoff format. Oh, this is for last year. We had this last year then too, didn't we?
Yeah, this is the same.
Okay.
It's not changing. It's
Wild
not
card-
changing
wild-
this year.
Yeah, wild card matches October 25th, 26th. Round 1, best of 3 series. All right, seeds 1 through 7 each conference will automatically qualify. 8th or 9th to the play-in.
Yeah, it's
But then
one.
who's
It's
the thing? Let's see here.
it's 8. The winner of 8th and 9th
Here we
plays
go.
the first, and
Right.
then it's 2 and 7, 3 and 6,
6,
and
4, and 5. What that means is that you and I are about to have a 3-game. If the playoffs were tomorrow, you and I would have a 3-game.
There's a ways to go.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. If we're 4th and you're 5th, because we've been 4th and 5th for most of the season, it ends. We start with a 3-game series, which will be very interesting to say the least.
We're getting better and better, and
Yeah. We're okay. We're stabilizing.
Stagnating, according to you. You're stagnant.
Until Saturday when we beat Cincinnati 3-1 off a great goal, off a bonkers goal.
Well,
from Kyle Duncan.
Cincinnati's losing their entire defense, right? They have been very good, but now they have injury problems. They have Miles Robinson and Matt Miazga are gone indefinitely. Is that true?
Well, Miles
Robinson
Robinson's
is
at the
going to the
Olympics.
Olympics. He's not injured, but he's gone.
Yeah, that is a big loss for them. I mean, it's just so weird. I'll never get over that. Because it's like, Miles Robinson, they're key figures. I guess Matt Miazga is injured doesn't he have a season-ending injury or something?
I think so. Yeah. So they're
Big
gonna
one.
need some. They're gonna need some defense.
Yeah, that's called karma for Matt Miazga. And then Miles Robinson's just going to. Yeah, he undergoes successful PCL surgery 4 weeks ago, but the season ending. And then Miles Robinson's going to the Olympics off his choice. Yeah, there you go. And then, Inter Miami's doing great without Messi and without Suarez, and they're going to be without Messi for the foreseeable future.
Shockingly, I have to admit that if you had told me that Inter Miami would have this kind of a record without Suarez and Messi, I would have said there's no chance. This has been a real surprise to me.
Yeah, even Columbus Crew catching up, being the best team in the East right now. If they caught up, if they got their 6 points, they would still be, I think, 4 points below Miami. So they can't get the amount of points Miami got. So good on Miami. And although I don't want to talk too much about U.S. coaches talk, I am really warming up to the idea of Tata Martino maybe taking over the national team when the season's over.
Is that in the cards?
It's in my cards. Yeah. No one knows what's actually in the cards because U.S. Soccer isn't releasing any information. But and it also seems unlikely because the only stuff we've heard is going European or whatever. But, if Tata Martino wins the MLS Cup with Inter Miami and Messi lets Inter Miami, I mean, the dude's a great coach. I'll tell you. That's 2 different American organizations you won MLS Cup with. But anyway, Inter Miami's real, Cincinnati's real, Columbus Crew is real. Those are the 3 best teams of the East right now. And then we're doing okay, and then there's the rest. Charlotte's right behind us. But, I don't know. Not super afraid of Charlotte.
Orlando is kind of has had a bit of an uptick. They were struggling, and they've had a good run. But yeah, in the East, everybody's in it. There's nobody. I mean,
Well, the bottom feeders aren't in it. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, if you're looking at New England has 2 games in hand. New England looked like they were back for a minute, but now they're struggling a bit.
Oh.
But it's like they're both only Atlanta and Toronto are only averaging like a little bit over a point per game. Like they are still very much catchable by any of these teams in the back. Like three wins in a row of those bottom feeders will put anyone in a playoff spot.
From seventh to 15th, it's 9 points.
It's 9.
No,
Yeah,
11,
it's
11,
9.
sorry.
It's 9 points, but
34. Yeah.
but New England has 2 games in hand, so it's actually sort of less than that. It's like, I mean, Atlanta is in 9th, and they have 28, and then Chicago is 25. So it's really 3.
Atlanta needs a new coach first. I think they're still in
exactly
coaches.
with their interim. Yeah, they still have. So yeah, in the East, everybody's still in. San Jose in the West, it's really only in the West.
2 LA teams. 2 LA teams are crushing it. LA Galaxy is really doing it right this year. It's quite the turnaround. And Gabriel Keck.
Marco Reus is coming.
Well, hopefully. We've been talking about that for forever. But
I think Fab Romano said it's on, and that's usually almost as good as an official announcement.
I know he was talking about the same crap from earlier, Fabrizio Romano. Yeah, 5 days ago, LA Galaxy are getting close. But that's the same news story from a month ago. It's always been close.
All right.
I hope it happens. But it's going to be interesting because they don't need him. So, LA Galaxy, but their real player is Gabriel Peck. That's quite the find of the year. And he would just join the MLS All-Star roster, which is this Wednesday. Tune in as a precursor to the Leagues Cup. But before I want to talk about that, I guess we got this League MX opponent. I want to talk about a couple of transfers. Caleb Wiley was signed by Chelsea FC today, I believe, for $11 million. That's another big, excellent transfer from MLS. He's going straight to Strasbourg on loan. Recently coached by one Patrick Vieira, who stepped down a couple days ago. But Caleb Wiley, a left back, a position we need, is going straight to France. So boom, he's now pretty close to the A-list, just like that. And then the big transfer finally happened. Thiago Almada was bought for, I think, $30 million to Eagle Soccer Corp, whatever the hell it was called. Let me look it up. He was bought by a third. They couldn't sell him to a club, although is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? You brought it up many times in the podcast. And it finally happened. He was sold to a third-party footballing group called look it up. Transfer. Brazilian. Well, he's going to Botafogo on loan because it's part of the group. What's the group called? There's Eagle in it. Transfer Brazilian top. So he's going to Botafogo. He's going to Brazil, which is maybe a step backward. Thing as part of the deal, he's going to Botafogo. Here we go. Eagle Football Holdings Group is what it's called. And the Eagle Football Holdings Group owns Botafogo, they own Crystal Palace in the English Premier League, and they own Olympique Lyon in French League 1. So they're going to send him to Botafogo for a bit, and then likely after that he's going to make his way to one of the European teams. I think the League 1 side is the idea. But it just goes to show you how weird it's becoming. It's like there were issues in the past where South Americans would sign for third-party companies. Do you remember the whole Carlo Tevez saga, Bjorn? You remember any of that?
Right. Yeah.
With him and Man City and West Ham, and then Daniel Carbusiun or whatever his name is, who was his agent. The way some agencies worked back then was they owned part of the player, I think. But I think the FIFA, tried to outlaw that. But anywho, Thiago Almeida was sold, and he was sold to a football holdings group. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, he's going to end up at a club.
Yeah, well, he's at Botafogo now in Brazil. So they sold this World Cup winner to Brazil.
Oh, you mean? Well, I mean that's par for the course, right? With MLS, like the oftentimes the MLS punditry like overvalues the play. You know, like there was for months now. Oh, he's a World Cup winner. Where's he going to go? How much? It was only a question of how much money. And I mean, if they got 30 million, that's a lot actually.
Yeah, no, it's a good move, but such an interesting move that they waited for a while. It's good business, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean I mean they have Atlanta. And this is now we're gonna see what they do with it. But they have taken in more money by a mile than any MLS team ever in one transfer window, right? And
it can't be close. They
sold Caleb Wiley, and they sold the Greek guy too. What's his name? Giacomakis. Yeah, who then again who followed his own. Tradition of knocking the league that he just transferred out of by upon arrival at his new team. He was saying how MLS now was no good. He was knocking the Scottish. He
went to Mexico.
He was knocking the Scottish league when he arrived at MLS, and now that he's on to Liga MX, he was knocking MLS. So that's kind of
Mexico.
So. Yeah, that's how he does it. But anyway, like add that all up, that's got to be like 50 plus million incoming transfer money. That has not happened to anyone ever.
Yeah, that's got to be a record. It's got to be a record.
And so that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, there's all of these limitations in terms of
most of that's going
how much of this can into salary but they can use it for other transfer fees. So it'll be interesting to watch and because they are definitely in need. Like the team that we played on whenever that was Wednesday, that was a skeleton crew and we also played our B team in a way. We were rotating heavily, and so it was kind of a wild game. It was not a lot of structure to it, but yeah, we'll see. They have their work cut out for them, but they have a lot of money to spend, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Thiago Almada, great for 30 million, sure.
LAFC just sold their defender Mamadou Fall to FC Barcelona. I've got a long list of just MLS transfer news. I mean, they're crushing it. LAFC just sold one of their first team players to FC Barcelona. I mean, that's amazing.
But is he going to play for them? I mean,
I don't know.
Caleb Wiley's gonna. What's the over under in minutes that Caleb Wiley is ever going to play for Chelsea?
Yeah, but back in the day, this was almost impossible. Now it's like, we still don't play to Barcelona. What gives? Last year, another guy, I think from Galaxy, went to Barcelona last year. Fall, he's 21. Mamadou Fall, he spent last season on loan at Barcelona, featured in 22 matches for the reserves. He's a Senegalese center back. He's been at Villarreal before. I guess he's already been loaned there, and they bought up his rights. But anyway, there you go. Aidan Morris went off to Middlesbrough. He's leaving the middle of the Columbus season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Duncan Maguire, didn't he finally make his move?
Oh, did that actually happen?
I know he's at the Olympics right now. Let's see here. Duncan Maguire. No, I don't see anything. Sorry, but maybe after the Olympics it'll happen. But Aidan Morris is off to Middlesbrough.
What's the deal? What's the deal with the Olympics, Stefan?
So
why does nobody? My friend of mine was asking me, why is Messi not playing in the Olympics?
Well, you know the answer to this, right? I had a friend ask me the same question.
I do know the answer.
Okay, well, so the Olympics are weird.
Setting you up. I'm setting you up for an explanation.
I am actually going to watch the Olympics this year. There's a big game on Wednesday against France. I'm excited about it. They just beat Jamaica 9-0. Oh, no, those are the U20s. I guess there's also the U20s going on right now. But anyway, the U23s are very, very weird because once upon a time, the best soccer tournament in the world was called the Olympics. And do you know who were the 1924 and 1928 champions, Bjorn, of the world?
Oh, I have no idea.
I know. It was between Uruguay and Argentina.
Okay. Well, that's unsurprising because
in 1930,
Uruguay won the World Cup in 1930. I know that,
beating Argentina, I believe, in the final.
If
I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because Argentina beat the United States in the semifinals 6-1. A little history there. And then the United States beat Yugoslavia 3-1 in the third place game. But anywho, FIFA then started the World Cup, and FIFA and IOC, which is the Olympic Organizing Committee, I guess, have always had like a partnership. I don't know what the Olympic Committee's motivation was. I think their thing was everyone has to be an amateur player. And back in the 20s and the 10s, everybody was an amateur player. Professional soccer wasn't a thing. And then when professional soccer became a thing, they had rules. I actually saw a video on this yesterday, and the first rules were crazy. It was like you can play for your country if you've never played for them before, I think was the rule, or something like that. Then later, it's like, you know what, let's just keep it to under 23s. I think they did that in the 80s. Or no, 90s maybe, early 90s.
Yeah, that was still a thing.
Yeah,
I mean, at some point, pros were allowed. Like, and the NBA sent the Dream Team in 1992. Right. So at some point, this opened up.
And
Miracle, but in the soccer in soccer, they always said, "Oh, let's make it U23, but you can have a couple of exceptions. You can send older people."
I think that was added
a couple of older guys just to kind of, I don't know, chaperone or be.
I don't know. It's why it's so weird. So the Olympics are U23, except for 3 overage guys. For the United States, it's Walker Zimmerman, Miles Robinson, and Georgi Mihailovic, I believe. Maybe.
I think so.
And however, the other caveat, it's only if your club says it's okay. So, like, certain players aren't allowed to go because the club's like, no, we need them. We're paying millions of dollars, we need them. So it's the players, A, who'll be released from their club, B, are under 23 years old, and also in the U.S. sense, it's our B team. Like like Giovanni Reina was never going to be part of the U23 team.
It's right.
It was never going to be any of our A guys who happen to be under 23, which is a lot of them, by the way.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's sort of, we've talked about this before. It's sort of like the U20. Like the discussions of, should we send people to the U20? It's like a development. Those are development tournaments. If you're already a starting pro for a club in a major league, you've already succeeded. You don't need to go. You don't need to. And the Olympics, I guess, it's the Olympics, so there's a little bit more status attached to it, but not a whole lot. Like if you are a young player who's starting, you're better off staying at your club and
but in this country, there's a lot more influence than a place like Germany or England or something like that.
Right.
If the U.S. men's soccer team got gold at the Olympics, it would be huge news.
Oh, it would be really hyped, even though it's
weird.
Sort of almost meaningless.
Afterwards, people would have to kind of clarify and give an asterisk to it. But at the time, it would be a big deal. Now, the reason I'm excited about this Olympics is because it's a great way to take a look at Duncan McGuire. I get a closer look at some other, there's just players I can take a closer look at. Because these guys, some like Aiden Morris, Duncan McGuire, Georgi Mihailovic, I don't know. I have to look at the roster. Some of these guys are going to be could very well become members of the 26
of the future national team.
Gianluca Buzio. I think maybe Tanner Tessman's involved. I have to double check. Who's also up for a big transfer this summer. I don't know if you've been following Tanner Tessman. Inter Milan.
Yeah, he's going right.
So I'm just saying it's a big summer of transfers for Americans. Kind of quietly, people aren't really realizing what's going on.
Do you think the U.S. team has a chance?
To get the gold? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But to medal or whatever, to maybe get a nice silver or bronze, why not? They've never done it before. And the sad thing is the U.S. men, I remember when they were in the Olympics in 2000, it was a thing. Then they were in the Olympics in 2008, and then that's the last time they're in the Olympics. They keep not qualifying for the Olympics. It's always a very embarrassing program.
In fairness, though, it's much harder to qualify for the Olympics than any other tournament because there's fewer teams. It's a smaller.
Yeah, but Costa Rica and Mexico always take our place. Shouldn't we have a team that can compete against Costa Rica's under 23s?
Well, this is the age-old, right? The age-old discussion. We should just beat everybody all the time.
Yeah, that's because
if we only had a proper coach. Let's hope they find somebody good.
Well, Costa Rica and Mexico put more effort into the program, is what it is.
Right.
It's not about coaching or the players that they care. Mexico, I believe, won gold 2 or 3 Olympics ago. Remember that? And then
but that just speaks. That's not.
And look at them now. Yeah, look at them now.
That just speaks to Uzbekistan is in the Olympics. Guinea, New Zealand. The Dominican Republic.
We should be able to cover those guys.
Mali and Israel are in the Olympics. These are teams that never qualify for anything.
So then we should get a gold then. All I know is that we're up against France, and France are A, hosts, B, have excellent youth players. Like, the French are heavy favorites to that game on Wednesday. So if we get anything out of it, then great. Then our other two teams are what? New Zealand and I don't even know.
In group, well, it's Group A, so it's Guinea and New Zealand.
Yeah, we should be able to take care of Guinea and New Zealand.
But how do you know? These are such obscure, like, I mean, on paper, yeah. Iraq is
well, how do I know? There's no way New Zealand and Guinea has the same level of professionals that our team has. You know, our team's got Walker Zimmerman and Miles Robinson and Duncan McGuire and Patrick Schulte in goal. You know, they're professional players. You know, who are the Guinea players?
Let's see what happens.
But anywho,
on the women's side, everything's different. The women send the best.
It's the full senior. It's the same as the World Cup.
It's the full. So that's a whole other. That's
weird in its own way.
That's a whole thing. That's a different thing.
It's
weird in its own way because it's also a smaller tournament. It's shorter,
rosters,
smaller, and there's not a lot of room for error. Like it's only like a couple weeks, right? Like usually in the big soccer tournaments are a month, and the Olympics are a month, but they kind of, it's not the soccer tournament doesn't last the entire time. It starts at the beginning, but then it ends like after 2 weeks or something like that. So it's all different. It's all a little different. And
but here in the United States, we've got two things going on. The U23 and U20 men's are both playing with youth prospects. U20 has this youngster on Liverpool. People are dying to get Maynard Figueroa's son. You know, I'm going to be watching because we need to see how bright our future is, you know. Kevin Sullivan, the youngest ever professional in the universe.
I was going to say, I was so proud of us to not have mentioned him at all so far. I think we should stick with that policy.
You don't want me to rehash my fighting on Twitter over him or anything like that?
Oh, you fought on Twitter? I didn't know.
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
In Taylor Twellman's feed. Yeah, like always. I'm good at branding us. I go on Twitter and I fight people and make people mad all the time.
Oh, all right.
He said, what did he say? He said, if you don't realize what's wrong with what you're saying, I can't help you. Goodbye. I think that's what he tweeted at me.
This is Taylor Twellman said this to you?
No, some rando. No.
Oh, okay.
No, there's some rando. Taylor Twellman said, a 14-year-old, wow, what are you doing when I was 14? And I tweeted that no one in the history of this entire sport that was any good debuted at 14. That's what I said. Because it's true. Facts are fun like that. There's no professional soccer player of any merit in the history of this 150-year-old game that debuted professionally at 14 years old because it's too young. And 14-year-olds, there's just so growing.
Yeah, what is the truth? When did Messi play his first pro game? How old?
17. All great players start at 16, 17.
Yeah.
Alphonso Davies pushes the boundaries. He was a 15-year-old wunderkind, remember?
Yeah.
But that's the youngest I can. And everyone's talking about Yamil Lamal or whatever, right? He's 17, and it's like 17-year-olds. That's when it starts. 14, you're not even fully grown in your body yet. So
and it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with early on, and I mean, I leave the kids alone. That's always my policy. Yeah, no hype.
Everyone argues with me. They're like, Stefan, you're fully you have no idea. It's a dangerous sample size. You're wrong. Everyone's guaranteeing me that Kevin Sullivan's about to break that rule. And I'm like, it never works. MLS released this graphic of youngest debuts. There's like 12 guys. I've heard of one of them. The other 11 are total obscurios. I mean, I remember them. I remember Eddie Gavin and stuff. But Alphonso Davies is the only youngster that debuted that actually went and had himself a career.
Is really the exception. Yeah,
and I hate to bring this up.
Uh-oh.
But kids born in Africa.
You do not hate to bring this up.
Kids born in Africa sometimes don't have the most accurate birth certificate.
Is that what you're saying about Alphonso Davies? That
I didn't say that out loud.
Wow.
I just said he was a pretty big, developed 15-year-old kid crushing it. That's all I'm saying.
God.
That's all I'm saying.
Boy. Oh, boy. All right.
There's so many cases. My favorite's the one in Stuttgart where the guy, he had to admit to his teammates that he had a different name when he was 3 years older than he was. Because the way it works with African agents is they only sell young players. So they force their players to keep redoing falsify their passports the year after year to make them still be 18, even though they're 21 and stuff like that. And like, you know, a lot of players in the Bundesliga have admitted that was the case, and they've changed their name and updated their age on the website.
We have no evidence that this is the case with Alphonso Davies. We do not know that. Yeah.
But what I'm saying with Kevin Sullivan, there was also that stuff with Freddie Adu and all that stuff. But with Kevin Sullivan, it's fun, but he's on Good Morning America, and it's like, guys,
yeah, it's no
stop
good. I agree. Whatever, like, more power to him if he's, you know, good luck. But like, yeah, it doesn't help. The hype doesn't help.
It just amazes me how many people are against the idea of what we're talking about. So many people are like, you don't know, he's gonna be the next big thing, or like he can be as good. It's like, he's a kid, man. Remember when you were 14? Imagine
you
if
don't know. Yeah,
you don't
know what's gonna happen. Yeah, you don't know what's.
They're also damaging him by putting all this pressure on him at such a young age. Let him develop quietly. Lionel Messi was 14. Barcelona bought him from Vélez Sarsfield or whatever it is. No, Newell's Old Boys. You know, and they had to give him growth hormone pills or whatever. But he was in the youth academy. He didn't play for Barcelona's first team at 14. He didn't debut until later. I don't know, 16, 17, 18, that kind of thing. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, that's my Kevin Sullivan talk.
Yep. All right.
He got signed by Manchester City too, one of the many big transfers over the summer. And I believe when he's old enough, he's going to be loaned to.
They're not particular. They don't have a great track record in general as an organization of getting people up from their own. You know, Cole Palmer felt like he had to leave, and
Zach
Phil Foden. Phil Foden is
for Americans. Let me give you the history. Zach Steffen, what's his face, Brown from Sporting Kansas City. What's his name? Something Brown. This is a 3-name player, an American. He plays in Austria now. Lavelle Taylor Brown or something. I have to look him up. He was signed for Man City from Sporting Kansas City. And, a mixed disc-root probably is on that list. And Kevin Sullivan.
He was signed because they owed him a favor.
But it proves my point, right? If you have the entire list of Man City Americans, the list is Zach Steffen, mixed disc-root, Lavelle Taylor Brown. I know that's not his name. And then
I think there is an unhealthy. I agree with the gist of what you're saying. There's an unhealthy focus in American soccer on these very young guys because people are like, oh, this is the next, the great new hope. This is our Messi and that's probably not. That's probably not going to be it.
Eric Palmer Brown. Sorry, I want to make sure I got his name.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Eric Palmer Brown. Again, more power to him, but again, it's just like, he's just going to be on the books and part of a large loan army. So.
And I think this is the thing in general. This is always what we have to say about youth soccer, youth development in general. Most players do not pan out. Most players don't become, we had Gideon Zelalem,
right,
who was the big thing at Arsenal. He then couldn't get on the field for NYCFC for several years. It's like the margins are fine, and you're at that age, you're just, the expectation is that you keep getting better and better, but not everybody does. Sometimes there's other things come up.
Here at the
life does not follow this linear trajectory that then the U.S. men's national team fans would like it to,
or MLS fans. So here at the Schnitzel Boys, the official statement is, or official policy is, don't count your eggs until they're hatched.
Yeah.
So if you want to be in Good Morning America, win a league title as a
leave the kids alone. Leave the kids alone.
Leave the kids alone. And if you want soccer players on Good Morning America, make sure they're senior title-winning players first, then put them on Good Morning America. Not some 14-year-old who's quote-unquote about to go be.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah, because we don't know. You never know. You don't know until you know.
And statistically, we do know. It's likely not. It's likely no.
The odds are always against you with pro sport. Yeah, it's like only a minuscule percentage of players become successful pro athletes.
There's this great documentary on YouTube about Santos' youth star, and Neymar was second fiddle to him. I forgot. You have to Google him, and he made so much money, and he was Santos' next big star, and Neymar was also good, but he was this kid on the side.
Michael Jordan was a relatively late bloomer. Like there's lots of stories like that.
Right. Yeah, and this senior guy from Santos who made so much money as a youth player, he never, ever, ever had the professionalism or the physicality to make it in any professional first team anywhere. I think he even flushed out in the USL club recently or something. It's just the U17 World Cup you can't scout from because they're kids. The U20s, U23s is more accurate because they're already developed. They're already at that age.
But even so, if you look at rosters of like tournament winning teams of those, it's not everybody becomes a superstar. But I mean,
no.
Yeah.
What I will say is, though, when it comes to Olympics final, there was the great one in Rio with Neymar versus the German team. Remember when the German under-23s made the win to the final against Neymar in Brazil in Rio de Janeiro?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the Olympics matter when it's interesting. And it's like, okay, I'll watch that. I'll watch Julian Draxler versus Neymar at the Rio Olympics. Neymar winning the gold medal, being his only really big title with the team, with the national team. But they made that a big news story. It could have also been easily forgettable, That's the Olympics. Okay, but last but not least, so we got big transfers. Tanner Tessman into Milan. We'll see if that happens. Apparently he can't agree to personal terms or something, so that might be falling apart. To wait for Fab Romano to come out with that. Weston McKennie to England. He's demanding to go to a Champions League club. We'll see.
Wait, what? Weston McKennie is? I have not heard this. Talk to me.
Juventus wants to get rid of him. They've wanted to get rid of him since last summer. So his great season they're ignoring. And the rumors are he was going to go to Aston Villa as part of like an exchange with Luis Diaz. But they're taking the Luis Diaz, but Aston Villa is not interested in the Weston McKennie. So they either according to a different exchange or something. So Weston McKennie, I think he's been linked with a couple of clubs. Who was he linked with? He was linked with someone in England. I forgot who. But he said him and his agent or whatever announced that he wants to go to a Champions League club this summer. That's his goal. So we'll see if that happens. I'm in the same boat where it's like, go to Everton. I don't know, go to Nottingham Forest. I mean, don't go to Nottingham Forest, but like go to a mid-level club, earn your spot. Maybe I don't know, hang out in Serie A. I hate to say it, Weston McKennie, he's very hit or miss for me. Sometimes he does well. He had a decent season at Juventus. He fought hard and mad respect. But this summer, he was very overweight and very uninterested in the soccer games he was playing. And it's like, he's had discipline issues in the past. And, I want him to be somewhere where he can be at his best. Maybe he has to go back to Schalke. I don't know. I don't know. But
oh, okay. Well, I don't wish that on anyone. But
no, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you can say out loud, bless you, a push-up. He's like, I want to go to Manchester United. It's like, well, as your player, have you earned that position?
I want to go to Manchester. I'm available to be Bella Hadid's husband if she's
she's open to it.
Yeah, it's like those.
Also,
things,
you're not available to be Bella Hadid's husband.
No, that's actually not true.
I'm
not a good analogy. You are available. Yeah.
But so I like him going to Weston Villa would be great. I'd love to see him duke it out in a mid-level club and try to slim up a little bit and earn a spot.
But
yeah, sorry, what are you saying?
No, if you want to have more to say about Weston McKennie, I was going to change the subject
to Tyler Adams.
To who's going to be the coach of the national team?
Well, we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
Can I just, because we're doing the Yanks Broad stuff. I don't know if you heard about Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams is out of the picture for a while.
I had not heard. He's hurt again. Yeah, I heard that.
Tyler Adams was supposed to get a surgery at the end of Bournemouth season. He declined advice from his medical advisors and played for the U.S. the Copa anyway. And it made the injury much worse than from before the Copa.
Wow.
So now he had to go under the knife late, which he did. And he has a surgery, and he'll be out till September, October, the earliest. And this is Bournemouth, who spent $26 million on buying him a year ago. And they're just not getting him. He's just on the injury table for now going to be looking like a year and a half. So we need Tyler Adams healthy. We need him back. I want to see him playing at Bournemouth. I felt it was, people were talking about how unwise it was for him to play at the Copa this summer. He should have just done his surgery and spent the summer to recover. So there you go. Tyler Adams is out. So we got our eyes on Johnny Cardozo, Tanner Tessman, and Leonard Maloney as guys who could maybe step up in the near future to fill in that role.
But step up to what? Like there's not much going on.
Well, the prep 2 years through to the World Cup. So the U.S. men's national team coach, there is no news. There were rumors that Patrick Vieira was first up, which I would freaking hate. I think that's a terrible connection. But I listened to a bunch of people.
What do you hate about Patrick Vieira?
I mean, we fired Greg Berhalter to hire a big-name European coach, and what we found was a guy who was barely more successful than him in MLS, Patrick Vieira. Then
right.
I echo Steve Nichols' sentiments. If you removed his name and didn't tell anyone about his playing career, you just took his coaching resume and showed it to people and said, this is the next U.S. men's national team manager, everyone would be like, what? Huh? Who?
All right.
How
Okay.
obscure. And I agree
right.
with them. Like, very smart, Steve Nicol. That's my thoughts exactly. I love Patrick. I'm glad he was a good coach on YCFC. I'm glad he was a decent coach in France or whatever. You know, but like he's like just a former player who's getting jobs. We need a coaching coach with a coaching head whose only professional experiences, his only success has been in coaching. That's who we need, I believe. But he was announced via, like you said, Fab Romano. He's just the U.S. coaching guys are just all silly season guys. I listened to big YouTube pundits, which I listen to very rarely, even though that's who we are, last night on it, and it was full of all sorts of negativity and stuff that I really didn't like. I won't say the names, but they're the most popular, like Twitter, YouTube, soccer, U.S. soccer guys out there. And they did a whole segment on this, and I will give them credit because something they said did stick with me. You know, they claim to have sources and crap. I'm not buying any of that. I don't think anybody has any sources. I think the only person that knows what's going on is Matt Crocker and his inner circle, and they're keeping it close to the chest, as they should. I don't even think Doug McIntyre knows what's going on, because Doug McIntyre and Michelle Giannoni both reported exact opposite reports on the same day.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
So, but these two guys mentioned that the way sort of journalism works these days, and I can't discredit it, is people need, like, they're all clickbait writers. So, like, when Patrick Vieira leaves Strasbourg, he calls his agent. He's like, get me out there, get my name out there. So writers like Doug McIntyre and whoever, I don't know who reported Patrick Vieira, can grab a name real quick, pop it in their blog, write it up to get some clicks. You know what I mean? And I agree that all the so-and-sos wants the job articles, I think that's 100% what that is. It's just coaches and agents putting themselves out there. The idea of U.S. Soccer interviewing them, not being on U.S. Soccer shortlist, we have none of that information. Only they do. So that's why I'm not really everything's BS until the announcement is my philosophy.
And even Fab Romano, who is really rock solid,
right?
In the European context, he has been off. Like, he missed the whole Messi he really discredited the Messi to Inter Miami. Like, when it comes to America,
Saudi Arabia, I think he reported.
When it comes to America, he's just as in the dark as everybody else. Like, that's where his zone of influence, I guess. Yeah, I think you're probably right. U.S. Soccer is such an idiosyncratic organization that's not really hooked into the same circles as Europe is. So yeah, all these people are stabbing in the dark. I guess I agree. Yeah,
Matt
we don't
Crocker
know.
knows, Gucci maybe knows, and Cindy Parlow-Cohn knows, but that's it. That's the crew. If it's not any of those three, don't buy it. So, you know, we could do worse than Patrick Vieira, but I'd be very surprised if Patrick Vieira was the first man being approached. Now, you know, we don't want to speculate.
Okay, so then if we don't have any idea about the name, let me ask you, what is the over-under on how long this is going to take?
It shouldn't take too long, because now is the perfect time to hire someone, because now is hiring season. Coaches just finished their national team jobs. Club coaches are being fired. You know, like, the people are available. So, like, now is the time.
So August 1st, there's going to be a coach? Yes
in a week?
Or no?
Man, no. Well, God, I don't know. August 1st. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no. Because, you know, they're interviewing, and then I don't know if they're doing any tests or anything, but maybe it's a little bit of a back and forth.
What do you mean, a test?
The
soccer test? You got to fill out a form to make sure they know the rules?
Do you not know? Do you not know the story about the testing in U.S. Soccer?
With Matt Crocker, and he had he had followed a.
He locks his candidates in a room for 3 days and has them do personality tests. You didn't know any of that?
Oh, is that what happened? Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. For 3 days?
Yeah, according to Jesse Marsh. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Vieira not going to do that.
Well, that's Well, that's what I'm just
You'd
saying.
be like, what?
That's what I'm saying. We don't know. No one knows the process. Only U.S. Soccer knows the process.
So every candidate, how many people did that? Do we know? Jesse Marsh said he did.
Jesse Marsh and Greg both did it, and according to Matt Crocker, Greg was the only person to get perfect scores on all the testing. And that's why Jesse. You don't remember any of this?
I guess I did not follow this with that much detail, or
And
maybe
Greg,
I thought this
way,
was more. I thought this was maybe more metaphorically I did not realize.
No, it was at a Marriott or something.
I did not realize Greg Berhalter sat in a room for 3 days and answered. I mean, I guess that's what you get. I guess.
I feel they're doing that now? I don't think so. If they're going after a big European manager, no, right? You don't do that. You say, "Hey, are you interested?"
Patrick
Vieira's
Vieira's like, "What do you want me to do? What? No."
Yeah, I no.
Thierry
Henry
is going to fill out forms for 3 days at the Marriott.
Yeah, nor should they. It's a ridiculous concept.
It's hard to imagine.
But I don't know. I mean, they didn't. I don't know. I don't know because I'm not the three people who know.
Yeah. So then, if that's the case, then August 1st is way too early.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping it's the normal process, which is you reach out to someone, you have a list, and you invite them to give you a presentation on why they would be a great coach or whatever. There's a famous story of Bob Bradley got the Swansea job. It was between him and Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs was the high favorite. But Ryan Giggs came in totally unprepared. All he said was the players need to run faster is all he said. And then Bob Bradley comes in and he's got a full presentation ready to go.
I mean, how can you argue with that?
Right, and then bing boom, Bob Bradley got the job. Same with Jurgen Klopp getting Liverpool. He was very prepared. Yeah, I'm hoping that's the process. They reach out to Rafa Benitez, they reach out to whoever wants it, and they're like, "Great, now it's your job. Tell us what you want to do with this team." And that's what I'm hoping the process is, because it should be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're saying now is the higher. I think it's already preseason has started. Certainly in the Bundesliga. Certainly in the Bundesliga, the people who have jobs are working. So if you're gonna get
Mauricio Pochettino's free, Carlo Ancelotti's free, right? He's not still with Real Madrid. He left, right?
Yeah, sure is.
He's
sure
free.
Is
who else is free?
He's at Real. No, he's at Real Madrid. He's still working. He's still.
Oh, is he still at Real Madrid? I thought.
Yeah, sure is.
6 months ago, he was going to quit and take the Brazil job this summer.
There was some talk of that, yeah, but that might still happen, but it is not happening.
Rafa Benitez is out of work. He's free. They can interview him.
Yeah, I mean, so is Wayne Rooney, I think, but
one ain't like the other. Bernard, maybe they have to wait for the Olympics.
Rafa Benitez is closer to Wayne Rooney than I don't know. We'll see.
One's an experienced title-winning manager. The other's Wayne Rooney. I think they're very different. Anywho, so that it's just going to happen when it happens. Like I said, I wouldn't mind. Like if we literally can't get anybody from Europe, if the only option is Thierry Henry or Patrick Vieira or someone like that, then don't do it, right? Wait for the MLS season to end, and then let's say Tata Martino wins a cup with Inter Miami this year. I say just give it to him. He's a vet. He speaks English good enough. He knows the system.
And wait 6 months, and
the only thing we have from now to then are 3 friendlies: one against New Zealand, one against Jamaica, I think.
Bring back Dave Sarakin.
Sarakin's busy. He's coaching in Israel. You just have someone else do it. I don't know. Marco Matt, the Olympics coach, have him do it.
Hire Greg Berhalter for 6 months.
No, and I want to bring something else up too. Greg, these two guys. I re-listened to our episode, and I think you don't understand. My conclusion is you don't understand the weight of how bad Greg Berhalter was. You don't understand how.
I don't understand the weight of how bad Greg Berhalter was. Yes, yeah. I think that's true.
Greg Berhalter is, for instance, the 2 YouTube guys, the big pun that has millions of followers or thousands. They both were very clear that Greg Berhalter is by far the worst American coach in the modern era. That's just
what's the evidence? What's the evidence for that?
Let me explain.
Please.
I disagreed. Greg Berhalter is the second worst coach in the American era. He's way worse than Jorgen, Bruce, and Bob. That's a fact. And he's as good as Steve Sarakin. I would put him better than Steve Sarakin. I think people are sleeping on Steve Sarakin a little bit. That would be my one caveat. because you mentioned that Jim Curtin would be a step down and stuff. Greg Berhalter led this team to nothing but losses in the second cycle, and then we got crashed out of a group of a major tournament we hosted, something we've never done in the history of our program. That those are huge failures. Huge failures. Bruce, Bob, and Jorgen never did anything close to that. Steve Sampson
not qualifying for the World Cup isn't
that's between Jorgen and Bruce. But that's a qualifier. Also, that was kind of a fluke. Imagine if we hosted the World Cup and we lost all our games and crashed out. Greg did that. The Copa didn't have a qualifier. We were invited.
Oh my God. I'm really like... Okay, yeah, no, keep talking.
All right, let me do the list for you. Jürgen Klinsmann brought the national team to the round of 16, and he brought the national team to the semis at the Copa. Greg Berhalter brought the national team to the round of 16, and he crashed out of a Copa we hosted. So Jürgen Klinsmann wins that head-to-head. Let's do head-to-head between Greg and Bob. Bob got to the round of 16 at the World Cup, and he also crashed out at the Copa, but with a U23 team. And so Greg crashed out of one we hosted at home with a senior team. So I still give Bob the head-to-head to win on that one. And then Greg versus Bruce. Bruce led our team to the quarters. He wins the head-to-head to that one too. So Greg did not achieve. Greg, of the major coaches we've had, which has been 4, Greg has not achieved as much as the other 3. The only one matching him is Steve Sampson. Steve Sampson led this team to the semis of the 95 Copa, already beating Greg. And we crashed out of the group stage of France 98. And Greg led us out of the group in Qatar 2022. So that's a tie, right? Would you tie between Greg and Steve Sampson? I don't know. I'd give Greg more than Steve Sampson. He had a successful first cycle, but his second cycle was terrible. It really crashed and burned. And Greg is the second worst head coach in U.S. soccer modern history, I believe. I think Bora did better. So there you go. That's my thesis. So
all right.
If you understand the gravitas of how bad Greg was, there you go. If you see people poo-poo Greg, give a little empathy towards that. Understand he did worse than everybody else since 1998. So there you go. That's my sort of thesis on Greg. Again, I wish him the best. I would love for Greg to now go to Holland and coach a small club and then bring it up to the Dutch Eredivisie and prove himself. I already pitched him for the Atlanta United, and the Atlanta United fans are just like, hell no. Don't give us that evil. We're not interested. Bjorn, if Nick Cushing was replaced by Greg Berhalter today, how would you feel about that at NYCFC?
I would feel... Well, why would you replace Nick Cushing today? But I would, yeah. I'm done talking about Greg Berhalter publicly.
So you don't want him to be your head coach, is what you're saying?
I would be fine with him coaching NYCFC, yeah.
Oh, okay, well, there you go. Let's say Nick Cushing does a 3-game losing streak after the Leagues Cup, right? It's looking bad. You're about to lose your playoff spot. They fire him. They replace him with Greg.
Bring on Greg.
I love it. Good man. You're a good man. Okay, Leagues Cup. Are you excited?
I'm more excited about the Leagues Cup than I am about the Olympics, but...
Daniel Young here.
Daniel Young thinks he's very scared for NYCFC's Leagues Cup opponent because he feels like our team is getting better. Is getting better and better.
Yeah,
I think he agrees. I agree. I think we have survived the dog days of summer pretty well. We're going to take this Leagues Cup break. I mean, it's weird. The whole schedule is weird. We now have played 25 games, which is like 3/4 of the season,
right,
almost.
Right. Yeah, the regular season, yeah.
And now we're going to take a huge break, and then we're going to play the last 9. It's weird. So
it's very weird.
There's
Plus
that.
the summer
it's
tournament.
Very weird. It's not like sort of it's not a tale of two halves. It's the same we faced last year. We got reinforcements during the break. We had a big transfer window, and we got some, but it was just it's too short. It's like 9 games left, doesn't make a difference. So the scheduling is odd. I'm pro Leagues Cup. I've said this before. We got the big one is on Sunday. I'm gonna miss it actually. I'm gonna be out of town, and
Querétaro. I'm looking at the things now. So Querétaro is with Daniel.
Querétaro, yeah. And he's scared for them. He thinks we're gonna blow them away.
Oh, really? I guess I'm very
I'm
scared.
very scared for our. Yeah, I think
out.
that is.
Four, very good.
No, he's feeling confident for NYCFC. But we have Cincinnati too, so that's not easy. Although they are less defensively solid as they've been. So yeah, I'm into it. We'll see.
Yeah, this is a Cincy without Miles Robinson, without Matt Miazga, right? And
Right.
we
Yeah,
like I said,
they have to find a center back somewhere, but
we spanked them 3-1 over the weekend, so if that's any indication.
we'll see. I think we have to go on the road for that game. I am unsure. Yeah, and then we have, obviously for us always the Leagues Cup. The thing that makes the Leagues Cup difficult is that if we advance, we don't have a place to play. We're gonna have to go back to Red Bull Arena or somewhere else. So there's that question mark. But other than that, I guess I'm excited. Last year our team was, we really got very unfortunate against Atlas, but then we beat Toronto and advanced. I'm moderately excited.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun last year. We'll see. We have Toronto and Pachuca. Toronto, I'm not too worried about, but Pachuca, I'm very worried about. Pachuca's a solid team. They're the Champions League winners, right? They're the ones that beat Columbus Crew, I believe, with the diarrhea gate, or am I mixing it up with a different club?
Wait, what? I'm
Pachuca.
reading Daniel Young's.
Oh.
No, it was
Pachuca won the Champions League, right?
The Champions League?
CONCACAF
Yes.
Champions League against Columbus.
Yes,
They had
CONCACAF
diarrhea.
Champions League. They did, yes.
Yeah, and that's who we're playing. So it's going to be a tough game.
They're good. Yeah.
They're a good team. And then there you go. Last year, I think we made it to the round of 16 or the quarters. Do you feel a Mexican club will win it this year?
No.
Think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be Inter Miami again?
I think. Well, I don't know. They have. It's hard to bet against them these days. NYCFC is going to win it. Why not?
Why not? With Greg Berhalter as coach, and you have
Greg
to talk about him every
Berhalter
week.
as we're gonna be within the Leagues Cup. He's gonna take over and then win the thing.
You lose against Cincinnati.
Why is Nick Cushing getting fired in this scenario if we're not out of the tournament?
He lost the first game, and then Greg
Lost the first game, and then Greg comes in to save it all. All right,
went to the end, and you get to talk about him every week. The game last year was Pumas was a tough game. Pumas paid a fine for the Hitler reference. What was the Hitler reference to NYCFC?
Yeah, I'm not sure I remember that either.
Were you back to our opening conversation? Were you offended by that? It's not seemingly not if you don't remember.
It sort of passed me by. Although I think, hold on, you talk for a second.
Leagues Cup will be fun. I will be watching the Olympics, rooting on the ladies and the men. I'll be rooting on the MLS clubs. We'll see. There was an article today about how Leagues Cup pay is still very minuscule compared to.
Oh, it was the Goebbels thing. I do remember this now. Yes. So it was Atlas. First of all, it was not Pumas. It was Atlas, and
we talked about it on the show. I don't remember, but what was it again?
And we did get the goal. We did get a goal called back, a VAR for offside, which was very controversial. And then they posted on Twitter about how that sort of making the analogy that we were following Goebbels's doctrine of just lying publicly, and somehow the lie, and something will remain. The bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. That was the quote from Goebbels that they assigned to being NYCFC's policy but I guess the Guardian says that this quote is not even actually authentic, but is often attributed to Goebbels. And then the club later deleted the tweet and issued an apology. So it was not a hit. It was Atlas. It was not, and it was a Hitler reference, and it was a Goebbels reference, and not a. Yeah, I mean that game. Aside from the VAR thing, we gave up a pretty soft goal, and we really should have won that game, but we did not.
Remind me, did you get didn't we play each other in the round of 16 or something last year? You got out of the group, and then we played each other in the round of 16,
and then we lost.
won, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we lost in the quarterfinals or something after that. And then, like any MLS club, you've got 3 or 4 weeks just hang out until the league starts again. So for that, I know for us, we need Emma Forsberg to rest up and get healthy again.
What's wrong with him? He was like
it's like a very serious foot thing. It's very generic, but it's very much like he's out for 3 months or something. I think it's like something serious. It's like a cruciate or something like that. Something very sad. But again, we don't have depth, so you give us this one big player, that's fine. But if he's injured, then we're back to having no depth again. It's also just Dante Vanzier is underperforming, so he's not really playing a lot of our kids. We're in desperate need of a 6 and a 9, more of a 9 than a 6, I'd say. And we'll see if this entire summer transfer window happens and we get something like that, and how obscure he'll be. Here's another transfer news. Speaking of summer of transfer news and MLS and doing better than ever, our third choice goalkeeper, the New York Red Bulls' third choice goalkeeper, AJ Marcucci, was loaned to play in the Finnish top flight for a year. So he's now going to Europe. Finland is in Europe. It's technically Europe. He's going to IF.
There's nothing technical about it. How is
in Europe?
How would it not be in Europe?
Our third choice. Hear this, Euro snobs.
Who is arguing that Finland is not in Europe?
Hear this, Euro snobs. Our third choice MLS goalkeeper is loaning to Europe, a top flight European league, to arguably go. He's probably there to be a starter, IF Knudsen or whatever it's called. And boom, there you go. I mean, I've never heard of something like that before. For a third choice MLS keeper to go be on loan in Europe for a year to get playing time. Good for him. Good for him. That's that reverse Scandinavian effect that we have sometimes. A lot of times the Obscurios come our way, but every now and then we send an Obscurio back there. So good on you, AJ Marcucci. Here's to you being the Finnish goalkeeper of the year this year. And I wish you all the best. Cool. Do you have anything else?
All right.
This hot Monday night, USA Hour.
It's toasty in here.
It is toasty in here. Daniel Young, thanks for joining. Good luck at the games. It's we got Olympics and the All-Star game this Wednesday. We didn't talk about the All-Star game. All-Star game's Wednesday. Olympics
it's
is
happening.
Wednesday. Leagues
Happening
Cup's
on
Friday.
Wednesday.
You know what my favorite thing in the All-Star game is? The game itself I could care less about.
The skills challenge. The skills challenge was epic last year. I didn't watch it live, but I watched the full replay. That was very exciting.
It's so fun. They've been doing that for a couple years now.
I don't think Thiago Martins is part of the skills challenge though, unless slide tackle becomes an event.
Isn't he in Spain or something? No, where's he at?
Thiago Martins?
Who am I thinking
Our
of?
center back? He's in the All-Star game.
I think of Alex Collins, I guess.
Oh no, he's in Greece, Cyprus,
Spain or Greece
somewhere far off, in a faraway land. Poor Alex.
Hey, Cyprus is technically Europe, so there you go.
There's nothing technical about it.
All right, everybody, this is the Schütze Boys. Tschüss, bis nächste Woche.
Bye.